Hello everyone, it's Wacky Anime What If here to present you with What If Issei Had the Yandere Gear, Part 4. Let's go ahead and get into it. Currently, Issei Hyodo is in class, staring out the window, thinking about what happened the week prior, thinking about how real the situation felt. He very much felt like he was gonna die when she threw that spear of light straight through his heart. He could feel every inch of his body screaming in agony. He felt his heart explode when it made contact, and he felt the hardness of getting breath through his lungs. He felt all of that, and it was way too real. He knows it was. And the psychopaths weren't in his house when he woke up there, and he doesn't remember getting there at all. He doesn't have any idea what happened. But he feels different ever since that week prior. He feels slightly abnormal. He feels as if something else is trying to take control at certain times, specifically when he gets too angry. Currently, Issei is still staring out the window, thinking into his thoughts. Except Motohama, who's trying to get payback on Issei, ends up immediately going through his bag and pulling out a taser, which usually would not be allowed at school, especially something as lethal, considering the taser goes far beyond a normal taser. It can go up to 1,000,000 watts. It's a very, very expensive and highly dangerous taser. It's one that you can't have unless you're, well, rich, which Motohama's uncle is rich, is the reason why he has one. He immediately is in the seat across from Issei, so he immediately gets up, pretends like he dropped his eraser and was trying to pick it up. Right when he's trying to pick it up, he immediately pulls out his taser directly out of the pocket that he stashed in, rushed towards Issei and tried to tase him, which successfully got him, because Issei instinctively caught the taser, it going to the palm of his hand and tasing him. He felt as if 1,000,000 watts went straight through his body. Every fiber of his being was screaming. It felt like the lightning was ripping him apart from the inside out. He felt complete rage at this one moment. Normally, people would be scared for their life. Normally, they would be fearing death. But no. All Issei has right now is rage. He feels angry because no one's stopping him. And everyone's starting to laugh as he's getting tased. He can see their amused smiles as he looks around and sees everyone slyly smirking, and sees one person with a shocked face, which Issei thought that was concern, as she put her hand in front of her mouth, as if in a surprised manner, before smirking and laughing with the rest. And that was the teacher. Well, the substitute, to be exact. As Issei gets angrier and angrier, he all of a sudden, his POV change. Motohama has successfully tased Issei directly towards his neck is what he was trying to aim for. But Issei turned around and quickly grabbed the taser. Not the smartest move, grabbing a taser with your hands and grabbing the front of it, not the sides. But it works as well, as he turned on the taser and Issei was in immense pain. But the reason why his hand has not let go of the taser is because Motohama keeps on pressing it into him consistently as he's trying to let go of it. He just keeps on jamming it further. Motohama's enjoying the painful reaction from Issei, until he sees Issei have completely purple eyes. There's this sort of aura around him. The lightning's completely stopped going through him. The voltage on the taser feels weaker. All of a sudden, the taser starts to get hotter and hotter, to where Motohama is about to let go of it. But all Issei does is grab Motohama's hand and forces him to continue grabbing the taser as it heats up higher and higher, until all of a sudden it explodes, blowing off Motohama's right hand. Not to mention, there was electricity coming out of it. It wasn't just an explosion, there was some electricity in it, which completely shocked Motohama's nerves from the inside out, causing him to fall to the ground and everyone to scream, as Issei now has his eyes shadowed and he's just looking around at everyone. The eyes weren't the eyes of their perverted Issei, is what everyone thinks. It was not the eyes of someone who has been beaten their entire life, someone who's been dragged down, someone who's the bottom of the barrel, the scummiest of the scum, someone with compassion or kindness. Sure, they bully him and everything, but they know he has those things. But what they see now is the complete incarnation of rage, of twisted desire, and many more questionable things in those eyes. It felt like they were being sucked into the abyss itself. Most people couldn't move. The teacher tried to move to grab the emergency phone from under the desk. Well, tried to grab the emergency button from under the desk. That was installed in case of any, well, in case of any intruders in the school. As soon as she was about to press it, all of a sudden, Issei disappeared. She looked around everywhere. She looked to the side. She looked to the right side, to the left side. She looked in front of her. She looked behind her. Nothing was there. So she quickly tried to press the button, reaching her left hand under the desk completely, about to press the button until she felt her hand being grabbed. She saw someone's arm grabbing her, and it was coming upwards. She immediately looked upwards and saw Issei with both his legs propped onto the ceiling, and him just standing there, grabbing her hand, and then lifting her up, and then kicking the tile off the ceiling to where he goes directly into the ceiling with the teacher's body that he's dragging in. All you can hear are blood screaming gurgles as the teacher's screaming in pain and trying to live. As you can hear horrifying bone crunching, horrifying squishes, and just overall unsettling noises, unsettling screams, unsettling moans of pain, until it all stopped. Then as it stopped, the people in the class thought we should go. They all started trying to run towards the front door, but as soon as they went towards the front door, one person opened it, only to see a blood-covered Issei on the other side, with the most shit-eating grin that you can ever muster. His smile was spread completely across his face, almost splitting it. His neck twisted to the side, having a complete snapping sound from how fast he did it, causing people to cringe as he put up all of his fingers, and they spread out and started bending backwards and snapping and breaking, then bending back forward. And his eyes started to change more, and his appearance started to change far, far more than it was supposed to. His hair turned midnight blue. His eyes turned completely red with a silver glint, while his body had the biggest of changes. He started to gain more muscle mass, consistently more muscle mass. His nails started to get sharper, and his face was as sharp as a sword. So was his glare he was giving. They all felt as if this was going to be the end, which unfortunately for them was, as Issei merely grabbed the first person who was about to make a break for it, lifted them up in the air and snapped their neck very quickly. And then he looked towards the rest of them and says, "How about this? Anyone who raises your hand gets a quick and painless death. Anyone who raises their hand first gets a quick, painless death. The rest of you get a slow, painful, agonizingly brutal one. So, who's first?" Immediately, everyone started trying to raise their hands fastest. After all, if there's no escape, then you'd rather go out quicker than slower. Except for one person who's in the back trying to get towards the window. He's backing up just barely close enough to the window. As Issei's talking about something, the guy has made it directly towards the window. He pries it open just slightly, and he looks backwards to see the window completely open now. He finally got it open. He puts his left leg directly on the side of the window and has it on a ledge. He looks forward and sees that all of his classmates are staring at him now. And Issei is no longer there. Immediately, he started to get scared. He looked around the room before trying to close the actual window in case he tried to charge in or something. No way he could have gotten out here that quick, he says out loud as he closed the window, until all of a sudden, he hears who could have gotten here so quick, and he started to be as pale as a ghost. He looked upwards and saw Issei himself just staring at him smugly, with him just walking downwards towards him. Literally is walking on the wall, just walking towards him, all chill and everything. Which immediately the guy decides to jump. After all, it's probably better to either die my own way or manage to break a leg or something to get away than let that monster get me. As Issei's walking downwards towards him, having menacing, literal words that only the audience can see that says menacing on it as he's walking towards him with more of a glare. Not even trying to speed walk or anything, just walking incredibly slowly. As this man contemplates still on what to do until he jumps down. He immediately jumps downwards, hoping to land on something to break his fall, which he did. He landed into a tree, which broke his fall, until one of the branches he landed on broke. Then he fell into a bush, which had thorns all in it. Thorns were covered in his body as he got out of the bush, ran all the way towards the front gate as far as possible, but looked back for a little glance, only to see Issei just chilling on the wall, just still standing on the wall on the exact place he was, but this time has a pebble in his hand, and looks like he's about to throw it. Immediately the guy's thoughts were, I'm gonna make it, as he looked forward in front of him, not seeing that Issei was about to throw something. As soon as he made it towards the gate, which was still open, just barely, right when he made it, he put one foot through the gate. Then all of a sudden, he fell down and collapsed. And he looked to the ground and tried to pick himself up, saying, it's no, I can't just fall here. I just tripped. That's all it was. As he felt a sharp pain in his chest. But as he lifted himself up, he saw through a reflection of blood that there's a complete hole in his chest. And it seems like a rock is in the blood. He immediately looked behind him in fear, only to see Issei directly in front of him as he looked behind him, and everyone trying to escape the classroom. Everyone that was in the classroom is currently all burning, as the entire classroom caught on fire, and Issei managed to use magic to lock the doors and window with a certain spell. They can't get out of there. No one can, as they're all slowly roasting to death, as Issei did pick out the one person who raised their hand and killed them the quickest, but everyone else had a horrible, horrible death. As he walked towards the guy, picked up his head, slammed his head on the ground, and then lifted up his leg and stepped on it, crushing it like a pumpkin. Then started to walk all the way home. until all of a sudden, Issei woke up. He immediately saw that he was just in bed. This must have been one of his recurring nightmares again. He could never remember what it was. Well, he can never remember usually. This is one exception. He's currently thinking about what happened. He could see from a third point of view. After he got too mad, he only see from a third point of view. It's as if something took over. What the hell was that? And it was the same familiar feeling he's been having this week. He's honestly terrified. Is he even himself anymore, he thinks. And that's what if Issei had the Yandere gear.